Hey guys, welcome to the Simplify Your Life podcast. It's Coach Simona, and I'm glad you decided to tune in. What's up, guys? In today's episode, I'm going to share with you the 5 most valuable lessons that I've learned in my business experience so far, and what I wish I knew back when I started my coaching practice. Now, let's jump right into it. Launching your first business can be one of the most challenging experiences of your life. No matter how many blog posts you've read or how many mentors you've had, at the end of the day, the most valuable lessons will come from getting out there, making mistakes, and adjusting your approach as the world gives you feedback. Here are the 5 most valuable lessons that I've learned so far. Lesson number 1. Working overtime is not something to be proud of. Let's go back to the first few weeks when I launched my coaching business. I was so overwhelmed by the launch that I kept staring at the computer screen 24/7, not returning my friends' calls, and spending whatever free time I had working from home. I suffered from insomnia, lack of appetite, and nervous breakdowns. One day, I was so exhausted that when I opened my eyes in the morning, I couldn't get up. That day, I realized what burning out actually meant. I had done it before when I worked as a copywriter in the advertising industry. But this time, it was different. My business was my baby, and I refused to let it breathe without my oversight. I thought that by working as hard as I possibly could, I would get more done. Wrong. All I did was worsen my health and temporarily destroy my productivity. So my first tip to you is to never get so caught up in hustling that you forget to rest. Trust me, it will be overwhelming at first, and you may be too excited to sleep. But a few weeks in, you will feel the need to sit back and relax. Don't overlook your precious me time. Lesson number 2. You're going to get hate. Lots of it. There's a wonderful quote by Winston Churchill, and it goes like this. You have enemies? Good. That means you've stood up for something. Anyone who puts themselves out there and tries to change the status quo will get criticism and hate. What you must remember is that whenever you're being hated for something, it means that you're actually accomplishing something. A lot of people prefer to judge others and project their own insecurities onto them. Let me give you an example. In the very beginning of my coaching practice, some people hated on me for being too young and for not having enough experience in life to be a life coach. They couldn't be further from the truth. But I remember myself feeling a little crushed inside because I worked really hard on launching my business and I expected everyone's support. Wrong again. People are not going to be supportive of you just because you feel like you're doing the right thing. Get over yourself and focus on building your business. Feeling entitled will get you nowhere because the world doesn't really owe you anything. I remember my husband telling me one thing that completely shifted my perspective. He said, I got just as much hate when I was launching my own business. That's what people do. It's not personal, and it's not about you. A big shift happened inside me. I felt not only stronger and more centered, but also felt compassion for them. When people hate you, they have something bigger going on inside themselves. I'm not saying that you should spend your time thinking about their issues, but you should realize that where they're coming from is a place you never want to be in. So let them be, and let them go. Lesson number 3. Other people don't determine your value. This is probably the hardest lesson that I learned as a coach. My first client was a friend of mine who was determined to get coaching. And being a close friend, I offered him a big discount on my services. Because I had lowered my price and undervalued my services, he wasn't as committed as he really needed to be to bring about a positive change. Here's what I've learned from this situation alone. You determine your products and services value. The higher the value, the more committed the clients. Of course, you will have to work harder to get these clients in the first place. As an entrepreneur, don't be afraid to charge accordingly. Trust me, recommendations and new clients just like them will follow. If you give away big discounts or offer all of your services for free, you won't be taken seriously. Money is not the most important thing in the world, but it's the fuel for your business. So don't be afraid to charge what you believe is fair and give your best to keep your clients happy. If you have limiting beliefs about money, I recommend you listen to one of the previous episodes from the Simplify Your Life podcast. I'll leave a link in the cards and also in the description box below. Lesson number 4. Financial security is crucial. When I was starting out, I sat down and discussed our family finances with my husband. He offered to help me and told me that I should focus on launching my business, and he would take care of earning enough for the both of us while my business turned profitable. If he didn't have my back though, I had 2 options in mind. Option number 1, finding a part-time job as a copywriter and coaching half the day. And option number 2, finding a full-time job as a copywriter and coaching on the weekends. I know how tempting it may look to quit your job and focus entirely on your new business. But if you don't have financial stability, it is a really bad idea. Some businesses take off pretty fast, but others can take months or even years to build. So be patient with yourself. Don't forget tip number 1, and everything else will fall into place. And lesson number 5. Be persistent and don't give up too early. Entrepreneurship is a test of your persistence. Some days you won't want to get out of bed. Other days you will mindlessly be watching cats on YouTube or some comedy TV show you've already seen. But procrastination doesn't build character. Putting yourself out there will. Giving up is easy, especially when it gets hard. It's not typical for us humans to prefer pain over pleasure. If you have the opportunity to choose, it's pretty obvious what you're going to end up doing. But the problem is that by giving up on your business and your dreams, you're depriving yourself of the opportunity to fail and grow. In order to grow, you need to fail as many times as your growth requires. You're not going to become the best version of yourself if you keep living in your comfort zone. You need to get out there and slay some dragons. But in order to do that, tips 1, 2, 3, and 4 are absolutely essential. Tip number 5 only works if you take a good, honest look at yourself and don't let the external circumstances define you. Whatever you're up to, I would love to hear your thoughts. So please comment down below and share your own experience. If you have any questions on entrepreneurship, I would be happy to help. Now, let's slay those dragons that we've talked about. Alright guys, that's all for today. Thank you so much for listening to this episode. If you liked it, please give it a thumbs up. And subscribe to my channel if you don't want to miss out on my weekly tips. I love you guys, and I'll talk to you in the next one. Bye.